All right, guys, how we doing? I think we're live. Let's see here. I always like to give it a few seconds and make sure that my screen catches up here. But on my end, it's saying we're live. So let me see if I can get that screen right for you. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. Let's see if that did it. Nope. Thanks for your patience, guys. I still have trouble sometimes with this new setup here. Let me see. Let's go down here. 1 more second, guys. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, cool. That should be it. You should have the screen correct now. So let's make sure that looks good. All right, now we're now we're all set. Hey, thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate your patience there with me. Glad you can hear me. I'm glad you can see the screen. Like I said, I'm pretty new to StreamYard. I've been using it for a while, but every now and then I have a bit of a problem. But enough about all that. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you've had a great week. And moderators, thank you for being here as well. I'd put out a message through Patreon, Facebook, and YouTube over the past week asking about the live shows here because for whatever reason, I started getting a lot of people complaining about the live shows and complaining about the ads, of course, too. I mean, I've got ads and a sponsorship now. And the last couple of weeks has been really rough. There's been a lot of negative feedback about that. And I get it. All I would tell you is just try being in my shoes. You know, I've never sold anything to you guys before. So, well, I did have a sponsorship a few years ago, and that was from a small company out of Austin, Silver Botanicals, and they're great guys. But, you know, aside from that, I'd never done anything else. So sponsorships help right now. For those of you that understand that, thanks. I was surprised about a lot of the negative feedback I got on my live shows. But, you know, for the most part, it was all very positive, which is nice to see. For those that were real negative about it, you know, some of them I question if they're truly fans of the stuff anyway. But some of them did seem legit and real and were even constructive in all this. All I can tell you guys is, first off, thank you, though, each and every one for responding. But, you know, all I can tell you is I started doing live shows a long time ago because I felt like I wasn't doing enough content. Some people think if I didn't do live shows, I'd have more videos. That's not true. It's always taken me a long time to finish videos. That's just the way it is. You know, it's just the stuff I do. Plus, sometimes I'll make something and never even upload it. You know, I just don't feel right. It's just, that's the way it is. It's a process, you know, so thanks for your patience on that. But so that's one thing. So I started the live shows a long time ago to be more transparent, you know, to have more of a connection with the audience, to try something different and to have more content out there, you know, so that's kind of the whole idea. But anyway, at the end of the day, you know, I have to do me, you know, as goofy as that sounds, but I really have to. And I love this kind of stuff. I know it's not pure enough for a lot of religious people or Christian enough for a lot of very religious people. I hear this all the time. All I can tell you is that this is who I am. This is what I was made to do. These are my interests. I'm grateful I have an audience at all. Thanks for watching. And I can't appease everybody. So I have to pray about it, as I always do. And I also have to listen to, you know, trust myself. I'm my own best friend. You know, we should all be best friends with ourselves. Anyway, I'm ranting and rambling, so I'm going to stop now. But thank you very much once again for being here. And let's go ahead and get started. There's a lot to get into. His wife cheated on him, so he sued the other man for $750,000 and won. This is crazy. A woman's paramour has been ordered to pay $750,000 in damages to her ex-husband. On August 19th, a Pitt County, North Carolina Superior Court judge decided that Greg Jernigan must pay Robert Kevin Howard for sleeping with his wife, according to court records. I filed the case because I felt it's very important that people understand that the sanctity of marriage is important, especially in this day and age when people question everyone's morals, people question everyone's viability as a person, he told WITN, and the state backed me up on it. Howard and Jernigan did not respond to requests for interviews. North Carolina and 7 other states still have laws that allow for a scorned spouse to sue their partner's lover. These heart balm torts, which allow for legal action to be taken for missed affections, are a complicated matter to family law experts in North Carolina. Howard sued his wife's lover for alienation of affection and criminal conversation, according to court records. These heart balm or home wrecker laws, which date to at least the 18th century, allow for someone to sue for damages incurred when a third party breaks up a happy home. Alienation of affection, also known as the mother-in-law tort, doesn't have anything to do with sex, North Carolina-based family attorney says. As an example, she said a person could sue his or her mother-in-law if the mother-in-law was successful in persuading her child to divorce their spouse. Criminal conversation is the act of having sex with someone's spouse, she said. The adultery law has an odd name because of Old English common law. It was impolite in society to talk openly about sex, she said. Impolite conversations was another way to say having sex. Isn't that crazy how far we've come? Alienation of affection and criminal conversation are often filed by broken-hearted plaintiffs such as Howard, who told WITN he still has a lot of scars from the situation. Howard had no idea how much Jernigan would change his life when they first met in December 2016, when Jernigan rode in a limo with him to a New Year's Eve party at a local Hilton hotel. The two men hung around each other in the presence of Howard's wife. Jernigan even had meals with Howard in his home with his wife and children, according to court documents. We shared stories and we talked about personal lives, Howard said. Howard and his now ex-wife, Julie George Howard, were married for 12 years and they have 2 children together. There was some genuine love and affection between the married couple, court records state. George did not respond to requests for comment. Howard and George had been happily married until George met Jernigan, then a first-year teacher in 2016. The local school district had assigned her to be his mentor around August or September that year, according to court documents, and the relationship between the two was at first professional before turning more personal. Romantic gears shifted between Jernigan and George around January 2017, and they consummated their relationship around late March or early April that year. George would text and call her lover over a track phone he had given her so Howard wouldn't find out. All right, we get it. We understand people being sneaky. How about that, though, huh? His wife cheated on him, so he sued the other man for $750,000 and won. Some of you out there are probably thinking about something right now. Wheels are turning, right? Like, Genetics, I hope not. That's terrible. I'm not married. I've never been married, but I've got a lot of friends who've been married, both men and women. And it really is a gamble, it seems, nowadays, right? There's so much going against traditional families. Our whole culture, this whole beast system is anti-family. Medical horror. Speaking of which, genetic sequencing of common vaccine finds entire male human genome from aborted human baby, a complete individual genome with abnormal modified genes, 550 genes linked to cancer. Vaccines are routinely formulated. I probably shouldn't be saying that word. Anyway, the V word are routinely formulated with aborted human fetal cells, or that, but whatever. We're going to live on the edge tonight. Known as MRC5 and WI38, the CDC openly lists some of the vaccines that use these human diploid cells, including a bunch of them. Let's see. Let's get into the meat of it. Even this GlaxoSmithKline vaccine insert sheet openly discusses the use of aborted human fetal cells in its vaccine. Okay. That's so creepy if you think about it. It really is, it's cannibalism, you're ingesting human beings, right? In a sense. So this story again, mysterious purple lights in the sky over Wisconsin. This is from October 4th, 2019, just a few days ago. I've done some videos about these purple lights. I've shown them in a few different videos. Now there's some people out there that say this has to do with plasma. Do you guys know anything about that? I've had people leave me messages about this, that it has to do with a plasma event or something to do with plasma. I don't know. I've seen it symbolic of some other things, and perhaps it's all right. You know, you never know, you know, until you know. But sometimes these things can have multiple meanings. It's interesting, though. It's continuing to happen. This just happened in Wisconsin. It's captured by some drivers just a few days ago, where parts of the sky is turning purple. And some of you have probably seen those videos of mine where I've shown you compilations. I mean, I can think of at least a dozen off the top of my head from different parts of the world, all around the world, where people have recorded sky is turning purple like this. So it's a thing. The description from Samantha Horowitz: driving up north in Wisconsin and saw this purple streak across the sky, then drove under it. Never seen anything like it before. It was so vibrant in the dark, unlit sky, minus a few headlights. Any idea? So pretty. Pictures don't even do it justice. So there's that. Now, here's the thing. I don't think this debunks it, but here's something else I thought was interesting. This is from Wisconsin, like I said, in America, October 4th, 2019. And then you got this right here. This is from September 27th, 2019. This weekend presents another opportunity to see northern lights over Wisconsin. So, I don't know. Is this connected? This weekend may offer another opportunity to catch a northern lights display in Wisconsin. Northern lights or aurora borealis as the result of electrons colliding with the upper reaches of Earth's atmosphere. There's an energy release in the form of light. In best case scenarios for onlookers, splashes of pink, green, yellow, blue, and violet fill the night sky. Yeah, I lived in Alaska, and I'm lucky enough to have seen the actual northern lights myself. And when I saw it, I still remember what I thought, you know, that what it looked like to me. They looked like a bunch of piano keys in the sky, and that God was playing them. Like they were all moving up and down as if there was, you know, some invisible hands playing these massive, beautiful piano keys in the sky. It was really interesting. But so I don't know if that's connected, because we've seen so many examples of the purple sky, like I said, all over the world. So I don't know, but maybe. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Something to think about. Womanette, that's Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. Woman at AOC town hall urging attendees to, quote, eat babies to fight climate change, part of political hoax. Let me see if the video's down here. Yeah, I think it is. Some of you may have seen this. A seemingly troubled woman at a town hall hosted by Democratic New York Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her district stood up to demand that Congresswoman support drastic measures to combat climate change, such as eating babies. But her hysterics were later found to be associated to a political prank. We're not going to be here for much longer because of the climate crisis, the woman pleaded. We only have a few months left. I love that you support the Green Deal, but it's not going to get rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor said we can eat dead people, but it's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan needs to be this: we've got to start eating babies. Many of Ocasio-Cortez's constituents appeared confused by the woman's declarations. This goes back, though, to that theme of cannibalism. I did a video that's one of the many banned videos I have on over on my website. I haven't touched my website in a month. I'm sorry, guys. I've been busy with my own other projects. I've also got a super secret project I'm about to launch in the next few weeks. It'll be really cool, I think. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, yeah, I've been busy with other things. But you can see my banned videos over on my website called whoiskjosborne.com. But I did one on an epidemic of it was an epidemic of cannibalism and bestiality. So, of course, with those two words in the title, it ain't going to last very long. But these are older videos. That was originally up from 2014 or 2015, I think. So, but I've seen that trend for a long time, and it's still here, and we see it manifesting even in these ways, like this. You know, we got to eat the babies, or they're, you know, putting fetal tissue cells in the vaccines. Was it fetal tissue? Yeah, I was about to say fetal alcohol syndrome. I don't know why, but anyway, removing her jacket to reveal a T-shirt with the phrase "Save the planet, eat the children," the woman continued, "We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2." Let's just watch it. Let's watch some of this. I'm pretty sure this is it. Let's see.
Because of the climate crisis.
Yeah, this is it.
We only have a few months left. I love that you support the Green Deal, but it's not getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying, we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you, you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you're really supporting the Green Deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have to get rid of the babies. That's a big problem. Just stopping having babies is not enough. We need to eat the babies, and this is very serious. Please give a response.
Thank you. We'll go ahead.
Okay.
No, we'll go ahead. It's so no. Yeah, no. Thank you. So I think So one of the things that's very important to us is that we need to treat the climate crisis with the urgency that it does present. Luckily, we have more than a few months. We do need to hit net zero in several years.
Anyway, you get the point. So yeah, there you go. But the way the world is today, a lot of people fell for that, which, I can't blame them, because there are people who would totally do something like that. That's why it's so great that whoever did it, I don't even know which group is behind it, but whoever did that, it was a good move. Let's see. Here we go. It was later found the woman and a fellow cohort were members of the Lyndon LaRouche PAC, who intended to troll the Democrat Congresswoman and her supporters on the issue of climate change by referencing Jonathan Swift's satirical piece, A Modest Proposal. Lyndon LaRouche is how I very first heard about the New World Order, and that was, I think it was when I was in the military and I was going through an airport and people were handing out pamphlets about the New World Order and everything, and that was Lyndon LaRouche group, because I'll never forget. That was the first name. I was in my 20s. It was the first name I remember associating with New World Order stuff. And it was a really detailed pamphlet showing how it was an attack through music and entertainment and everything else. And, it really, really screwed with me for a while. I've always been attracted, obviously, to this kind of stuff, even before I was into it the way I am now. But yeah, that stayed with me. It was a pretty powerful pamphlet. I don't know much about Lyndon LaRouche, though. I've never, I don't follow him or his group or anything. But so I don't know what symbolism might be there, or if they're connected to Masons or something, or I'm not sure, I would doubt it. But then you just never know. There's controlled opposition out there. So anyway, there we go, man. I thought that was an interesting one. Kind of funny. Atheist group files complaint. Oh, we'll come back to that. That'll be a follow-up, because let me see if I can find that original story. One second. Okay, here it is. Here's the original story, and then that'll be the follow-up. So this is, I guess you could say this is kind of like the doom break for the evening. You may have seen this, but I thought it was really great. Check this out. If you didn't know, this is the story. Man hugs former Texas police officer who killed his brother. The story, Texas police officer Amber Geiger, and she had just gotten off of work, was still in uniform. She walked into the wrong apartment, and looked up and saw a man standing there and shot and killed him. He killed him in his own apartment. And she had claimed that, you know, she wasn't paying attention and just kind of had her head down, maybe think about other things. I don't know the whole story. And that's how it happened. So I don't know, you know, but anyway, she got sentenced, I think like 10 years. But anyway, let's watch some of this here.
That the defendant did not cause the death of Botham Jean while under the immediate influence of sudden passion arising from inadequate cause, and assessed the defendant's punishment at 10 years imprisonment in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
The words left Botham Jean's family appearing dismayed and shocked. Amber Geiger sentenced to 10 years in prison. She'll be eligible for parole in 5 years at just the age of 36.
No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace!
Outside the courtroom, the sentence angered protesters, sparking chants.
The police department around the country has done to our people. This is not a joke. This is our lives.
But at the same time, inside the courtroom, a dramatic scene was unfolding.
I forgive you.
Botham Jean's 18-year-old brother, Brent, spoke directly to the former Dallas police officer who killed his brother. He told Geiger that he didn't want to see her rot in prison and that he had one request before she was taken to her jail cell.
I love you as a person, and I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
Geiger's attorney called it humbling and the most amazing moment he had ever seen in a courtroom. The emotion lingered long after the case ended. Judge Tammy Kemp hugged Botham Jean's family and in a rare move also hugged Amber Geiger, the convicted murderer, and gave her a Bible.
This is the one I use every day for. This is your job for the next month.
I'm proud of you, young man.
Allison John, Botham's mother, shared her hope for how Amber Geiger...
Careful, that one will choke you up a little bit. How about that, though, huh? Now, let's go look at the follow-up story. And this is how the beast system, if you will, responds to such a beautiful moment. Almost there, let's see. Okay, 1 second. Back here, I guess. Thanks for your patience. You're not in a rush, are you? We're just hanging out. Just going to hang out a little bit. All right, where'd it go? Well, I hope I didn't close it out. Anyway, we'll just see if we come back to it later. I can't spot it just doing this right here for whatever reason, but there's a follow-up to that. There's an atheist that filed a complaint about the judge giving the woman a Bible, and I believe there's more to it. So we'll see if we can find that one. I'm hoping I didn't accidentally close it out, but anyway, we'll keep moving. We got stuff to get through here, stuff to get into. This one's a bit disturbing here. Males copying violent prawn scenes are inflicting life-changing injuries on females. One recent study noting that teenage boys who are exposed to violent prawn are 2 to 3 times as likely to assault girls. Prawn is consistently playing a pivotal role in violent sexual crimes, and another recent study indicated that nearly a quarter of adult American women feel fear during sexual intimacy due to the rise of porn-inspired choking. And now the New York Post has again highlighted the increasingly horrific impact of prawn use in a news article titled "Teen Suffers Life-Changing Injury Trying to Imitate Prawn." The story, unfortunately, is an increasingly common one. I've had teenagers at Christian schools ask me why their boyfriends increasingly ask for butt sex. And the reason is that both their worldview and their understanding of sexuality is being informed by pornography. According to the New York Post, in a tragic case illustrating the sinister effects of online prawn, the 16-year-old girl's bowel was so badly injured during group butt sex that she needs to use a colostomy bag for the rest of her life. The teen reportedly suffered the life-changing injury while copying scenes seen in a violent prawn, according to an Australian broadcasting company news investigation. But sadly, Australia's national broadcaster was told that the girl's horrific experience was just one in a string of serious injuries to result from prawn-addicted Australians trying to imitate aggressive sex they've watched online. Australia GP and former Royal Australian College of General Practitioners president, Dr. Bastian Seidel, another one of those extremely long titles. Who are you? I'm the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners president, Dr. Bastian Seidel. Told the ABC he's seen firsthand how copying behaviors seen on these videos can go dangerously wrong. We've seen butt fissures more and more. I've seen that more in women, so that's caused by men having butt sex with women, he said. The ABC's hard-hitting investigation also revealed the horrendous experience of a woman, Sarah, whose former boyfriend forced her into having butt sex. The 41-year-old was left with nerve damage to her butt and can no longer cope with hugging her mom because she was so traumatized by what happened. I think you get the point. It's rough stuff. It's a bit longer of an article, but I think you understand what's happening here. And that's not a good thing. Watching that garbage, that's destroyed plenty of marriage, for sure. Getting addicted to that stuff, that's been one of my greatest battles in my whole adult life, was fighting that stuff. I don't know about you. I used to not fight it. I used to just go with it, for years. But several years ago, you start realizing it has real life effects on you, bad real life effects. So it's toxic. It's toxic stuff. The world can be so confusing sometimes. I think I have to turn off the blocker for this one. Let's see. Pause on this side. All right, there. It's New York Times. Because some of you all know that I've had to go through some health type issues. I had a heart attack last summer. And I'm only in my 40s, by the way. So I'm very young to have had such a serious heart attack. I got 2 stents. And I started off doing the keto thing, just eating meat to try to keep my blood sugars low. And then that was bad for the heart. So I switched to vegetarian. And then at one point I was eating a raw food diet for a long time. And then I lost too much weight at one point. So anyway, it's been back and forth. Trying to find a good diet, for blood sugar and also for your heart. And now we have this: eat less red meat, scientists said. Now some believe that was a bad decision. But this is one of those annoying websites where it's going to make me subscribe. So I don't want to do that. So we're just going to move on. But anyway, we got it. Red meat. They said to eat more. Let's see it again one more time. Eat less red meat, scientists said. Now some believe that was bad advice. Okay, whatever. All right, New York Times. Got it. European Union, can order Facebook to remove hate speech, even if it's outside Europe, top court says in landmark ruling. This is troublesome. Facebook must comply with demands from EU nations to remove content deemed illegal, even if the material falls outside of their jurisdiction, top court has ruled. The decision could undermine freedom of speech on the internet. The European Court of Justice, the bloc's top court, said on Thursday that an individual country can order Facebook to remove posts, photographs, and videos, and even restrict access to these materials to people all over the world. According to the Luxembourg-based court, a national court of any EU country has the right to instruct the social media giant to take down posts considered defamatory in regions beyond its jurisdiction. Wow. Wow. The ruling upholds a non-binding opinion from an ECJ advisor in June, which Facebook argued undermines the long-standing principle that one country should not have the right to limit free expression in other countries. The initial opinion came after an Austrian Green Party politician sued Facebook, demanding that the platform delete defamatory content about her posted by a user, as well as duplicates of the same material. The complaint was referred to the ECJ by Austria's High Court. The politician, Eva Glaueschnig-Pierzek, sounds like a villain, but they villainize the British and Russians in Hollywood, don't they? But that name sounds like a villain. Eva Glaueschnig-Pierzek insisted that Facebook prevent the content from being viewed worldwide. This is the second major ECJ ruling in as many months concerning freedom of expression on the internet. In September, the court said that Google does not have to comply to EU's right to be forgotten law globally. The directive requires the tech giant to remove search result listings to pages containing damaging or false information about a person. As a result, Google implemented a feature that prevents European users from being able to see delisted links. We know all about shadow banning, don't we? Some of us on YouTube do. Oh, and here's just another one. This is from October 5th, 2019. YouTube channel DDL Pina, DIDIEL PINA, 3 subscribers. It's a little bitty baby channel. It's so cute. But they recorded strange purple sky, Ward's Island, Manhattan, October 2nd. And we know we had that one over in Michigan, right? It was the other one, I think. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys this too. There you go. Maybe sometimes, maybe some of these could possibly be spotlights, because there are such things as spotlights, you know. But again, with the prevalence of these kinds of sightings around the world, and again, I would tell you, check out some of my paranormal videos, where I put all these clips together. You'll see that it's happening all over the place. There you go. I just wanted to share that with you. YouTuber Trisha Paytas. You know who this lady is? YouTuber Trisha Paytas has responded after receiving criticism for coming out as transgender because she's attracted to gay men. I mean, this person here is just the epitome of YouTube troll, you know, YouTube drama troll. Always trolling, does a lot of that mukbang. You heard of mukbang? It's where people would just sit in front of a camera and they'll just gorge on food for like 10, 15 minutes. I mean, there's a whole thing here on YouTube that some people are into. It's called mukbang. I think it's M-U-K B-A-N-G. Maybe that's how you spell it. Mukbang. You can look it up, but it's just gross and it's weird. But there's people who do this. Anyway, this is one of them. This Trisha Paytas does mukbang. She does anything for clicks and attention, though. It's always kind of been my feeling on her. But let's see. It looks like she's got herself into some new drama. Or did she? You know, is she playing a role? Also, that's the other question with a lot of these big YouTubers like this. How much agenda is being forced on us through them? You have to wonder about that as well. Right? A lot of them are actors and actresses. The YouTuber Trisha Paytas posted a video on Monday called I Am Transgender Female to Male. Paytas, who is infamous for her trolling videos and emotional outbursts, started trending because she said that she felt more masculine than feminine that she identifies as a gay man because she's attracted to other gay men, and that she loves glam and voluptuousness. I identify with men better, she said. People always think like I'm glad they put the like in there. Thank you. People always think like there's something wrong with me because I don't have like, good, another one, that many girlfriends. Like, I love girls. Like, I do love girls. And I love like their sensitivity and all that stuff like that. But that's why I identify more as like a gay man. I think she's got millions of subscribers because I like guys, it says, but I also identify as a guy. Okay. Paytas also said that she overcompensated for people calling her manly when she was younger by wearing makeup and overly revealing outfits, but that she has always had wiener envy. Anyway, it's all pretty dumb, isn't it? This is her, though, I guess, dressing up as a dude. So I don't know. I don't know. Is she just being used to push an agenda? Is she doing this for clicks and attention? Maybe it's a combination of it all. But, you know, a lot of the times, these are the people who trend. And these are the ones that a lot of the children are watching, like young teenagers. I look up to some of these people. And it seems like they all do their time at one point or another pushing the LGBT thing, you know? Strange cloud formation in Michigan. This is from UniqueOne YouTube channel. 2 subscribers. Just getting started. And they filmed a really cool cloud situation up here. Look at this. There's the chemtrails. But then you've got the cloud underneath the chemtrails. Look at that. Perfect line, huh? Geoengineering. What's that? Interesting, huh? There's another one. This is a guy. Let's see who this YouTube channel is. If you want to check him out, Joshua Mark, M-A-R-K, 13 subscribers. He says, okay, I filmed the sunrise, and yet again I find the same thing. At first I thought it could just be light coming through a cloud. Nope, not a lens flare either. It rises. Opinions and thoughts, please. It's pretty wild footage. Let's check some of this out. At times it's, well, you'll see. At times it's kind of hard to make out, but then it clears up and it looks like there's 2 suns there. So let's see what we got here. For those who wonder what this could be outside of an optical illusion, a lot of talk of Planet 9 in the news lately. You've probably seen some of those stories about Planet 9, Nibiru, Planet X, Wormwood. You know, all the same thing in my opinion. Just going under different names, but a lot of people think that it's a dimensional thing, and sometimes you can see 2 planets. You know, you can see two suns, you can see 2 moons. And this is a guy. I've shown some videos way back. I remember back in 2012, 13, and 14, it was a real big time for a lot of these videos of people recording 2 suns and 2 planets and stuff like that. Do you guys remember that? Used to be tons of those videos, man. There's a great one from New York City. Somebody was up high on one of the buildings in New York City, real high up in the sky, and they recorded distinctly 2 suns on the horizon. It was crazy, man. So I've seen some good ones, but, and again, I don't know, you know, maybe just optical illusion. Who knows? Maybe it's something dimensional. Maybe we're seeing this stuff and then it goes away. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's something else, but let's take a look.
The fuck? 2 fucking suns? No way. This is gonna be like going to the cloud, right? pretty round, though. Both of them look pretty fucking round. One on the left, one on the right. What the fuck?
See, look at that. It's pretty wild, Looks round, doesn't it? I think he gets a better view here in a second. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good shot right there. Look at that. It's a good shot. It's interesting. What do you guys think? Oh, yeah, man. Gosh, there was a really good one. It's one of mine. I'm not trying to say, hey, it's a great one. Of course, I put it up, but but there was a really good capture. I don't even know which one of my videos it is. And again, a lot of my videos are gone from the early years because YouTube, I've had to remove a lot of videos. A lot of them have been blocked worldwide and things like this. So there have been so many purges at this point on YouTube. It really is a miracle that any of us are left, and still doing what we want to do. And just on a quick note on that, I've seen people say, oh, KJ and people like that can't get that many subs without doing deals with the devil or without the devil looking out for them. And some of y'all give way too much power to the devil. God is working through the people that love him and are trying, and he puts us where he wants us, so that's the way I see stuff like that. So no matter how much censorship there is, and they are censoring the channel, and no matter how much they can screw with us in different ways, we're still here. A lot of us are still here, still trying, still fighting, still asking questions. And I think that's all from God. I'm not saying that we're all little angels and perfect here, but, we pray, we ask for help and guidance, and, that's what he does. Isn't that great? So anyway, 2 sons, perhaps. MSM silent as Anfarta member gets justice for attacking man. Anfarta members seem often to not face consequences for their actions. Yeah, they're supported by our mainstream media in America. But that's another story altogether. They might get arrested, but then often seem to have charges dismissed. But not this time. According to the New York Daily News, David Campbell, 32, was originally charged with assault for strangulation, possession of a weapon, assault of a police officer, resisting arrest, and loitering after attacking a 56-year-old man outside of a Night for Freedom event in Manhattan thrown by Mike Cernovich on January 20th, 2018. Campbell was one of about 80 Anfarta people agitating people outside of the event. Cops said that the black-clad attacker punched and choked the man. I saw him hit the old man, said witness Allie Thomas, 24. One hit. He swung hard. He hit him hard. The old man's head hit the curb. The 911 caller said initially that the 56-year-old man was in cardiac arrest after the fight, according to fire officials. He was taken to Bellevue Hospital in stable condition, officials noted. This past week, according to the New York Post, Campbell pled guilty to 2 counts of felony assault and will be sentenced to 18 months, according to District Attorney's Office. When Antifa attacked a 56-year-old man, silence from the press, Cernovich told the Post. Now that the criminal case is closed, I will also be taking legal action against Mr. Campbell and his Confederates. It is time to find out who's funding Antifa, he said. Or Anfarta, excuse me. Media has often failed to cover Anfarta violence or painted them with a favorable brush, buying completely the idea that they are, quote, fighting fascism while minimizing their violence and ignoring their radical philosophy. CNN's Chris Cuomo, for example, has compared Anfarta to the U.S. military storming the beaches of Normandy. Wow, that should make you sick, especially if your grandfathers were there. While Cuomo has said he does not justify violence, he has claimed they have a, quote, good cause, painting their violence as a bug rather than as a feature. His colleague, Don Lemon, has also spoken favorably of Anfarta, while saying that no one supports violence, has claimed they were fighting fascism and, quote, no organization is perfect. Apart from coverage by local and conservative media, the plea doesn't appear to have gotten attention. A search didn't seem to show any coverage by CNN of Campbell pleading guilty. No surprise there. Gay elementary school teacher in South Carolina admits his agenda is political above all else. The homosexual mafia is after our children and will not stop until they own every aspect of their hearts, minds, and even souls. Homosexuals have an incessant drive to be accepted and even celebrated in our society, and they know that the most efficient way to achieve that goal is to groom and propagandize young children. One gay elementary school teacher, Jed Dearyberry, admits that his purpose for teaching and inspiring other teachers is political. Dearyberry, who has taught several elementary school grades, including first grade for at least 5 years, recently published the following on Twitter. New teachers, I'm sorry if we veteran educators have misguided you about the profession. It's not about cute classrooms and trendy ideas. It's political. It's advocacy. It's the front line of battle for the future of our nation. Go no further if you're not ready. It's a declaration. Dearyberry sounds like an animated character on a children's show. That'd be kind of a lot like the Eeyore of the show. You know Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? It's something kind of fat and lumpy, slow, and sad. You know, that would be Dearyberry. Oh, man, here comes Dearyberry. Womp, 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 womp. You know, big, slow, heavy, always got the head down, bummed out. Everything you say, there's a negative response. It's beautiful weather today, isn't it, Dearyberry? Yeah, but it's going to rain. Hey, I got a candy bar. You want a piece? No, thanks. I'm allergic to peanuts. Anyway, Dearyberry, womp, 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 is a homosexual activist who subtly grooms children into his perverted ideology through classroom instruction. As with most gay activists, Dearyberry, womp, womp, has captivated the hearts of many children and peers, including parents, and has received awards for his work. Yet the way he runs his elementary classrooms should be, at the very least, disturbing. One website describes his classroom as Mr. D, as the students call him, brought his love of music and the arts into every lesson he taught. With the piano in his classroom, students spent more time gathered around singing about their curriculum than they did at their tables. Sculptures made of clay, recycled materials, and other art mediums always filled the room. Always do your best, and I love you no matter what, were his two class mantras, as he strived to live by the Argentine proverb, if I pass through life without making a mark, for what did I live? Any man who desires to be locked up in a classroom all day with 5- and 6-year-olds should be met with deep suspicion. Whoa, wow. Okay, this is from reformationcharlotte.org. These people pull no punches. Any man who desires to be locked up in a classroom all day with 5- and 6-year-olds should be met with deep suspicion. That any parent would be comfortable leaving their children alone with him is even more disturbing. It is neglect at best and child abuse at worst. Do these parents realize that this seemingly nice man goes home at night to sodomize other men? Jeepers. This is not normal. Wow. No punches pulled. reformationcharlotte.org. If you want to look this up or look up the sites, there they are. That's the name of the article. Jeepers. Kicked right in the cooter, I guess you could say. Michigan boy burned. Experts warn of viral fire. That word. Because even those things got taken off of YouTube, those videos. These challenges, these dumb challenges that people get involved in, especially youngins. These youngins doing these dumb, dangerous viral challenges, which, you know, is really an extension of the rise of the nihilists, the rise of that spirit of nihilism, isn't it?
A Michigan boy in the hospital. Yeah, it's called the Fire Challenge, and it's as bad as the name sounds. Our Candace Charles explaining now what experts say you need to know about this. Candace?
Well, the challenge is simple but extremely dangerous. As you can see in these clips, the challenge involves dousing yourself or friend in flammable liquid, lighting it on fire, and recording it. But you can't end up like this. Chris McKenna from Protecting Young Eyes says, unfortunately, you can't stop challenges like this from happening, but you can stop your kid from doing it.
It's a viral challenge that could go terribly wrong.
And for a 12-year-old in Dearborn, it did.
First time it was like a little tiny fire. Then they swatted it out. Then the second time it engulfed, and they kept spraying it on me.
Jason Cleary suffered second-degree burns. His mother wants other parents to be aware of this challenge. And Chris McKenna of Protecting Young Eyes tells me there is something you can do to protect your kids, but doesn't start with cutting off the internet.
No, you're not going to win that battle, but you can control your kid. And you can have the right conversations with your kid.
And the right conversation starts with a question. Why do kids do these challenges?
Challenges come and go, whether it's the Tide Pod Challenge or it's the Fire Challenge or the Cinnamon Challenge. Those will always come and go. But what stays the same is teens who have an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex and therefore don't make decisions, who get caught up in this idea that I can have my 5 seconds of internet fame and I can get all these views on this video and get all this attention. And that's a really intoxicating thing for that teenage brain.
So knowing what type of kid your kid is important.
If we know just by observing our kids and their friendships and their tendencies and how they work in the family that they are a kid that craves attention, who maybe has a tendency for wanting people to notice them, then they may be a kid who could be at greater risk for something like this.
Knowing this, McKenna says you have to monitor them a little bit more closely by knowing the apps on their phone, approving them before download, and simply asking questions.
The internet brings risks.
Oof. Yeah, that's still a thing. I mean, this is from October 7th, 2019. And that dumb challenge has been around for over a year, right? And there have been other challenges since then. So I did a video not long ago where I had tons of those challenges in there. There's some really crazy ones they had out. Some of y'all might not have known about. There is one where, oh gosh, the kids go out to meet a stranger, like at a certain time of night. I don't know. It's off the top of my head, but all I know is there have been a lot of these goofy, some been goofy, like planking and stuff like this, goofy challenges, but then some of them get downright sinister, like the Momo challenge, the Blue Whale challenge. I've covered some of that before too. Anyway, there you go. Kids being dumb. It's what they do. I did dumb stuff as a kid. Police, 2 young siblings who passed were found hanging. This was just a weird story to me. I just want to, there's not much here. I just feel like we're missing something. I'll show you what I mean. State police have released details on the death of an 8-year-old boy and his 4-year-old sister in Berks County. Think about that. Let that sink in. This is about an 8-year-old little boy and a 4-year-old little girl. There was no answer at the Albany Township home of 36-year-old Lisa Snyder Tuesday. She is the mother of 4-year-old Brinley and 8-year-old Connor Snyder. Police say the two were found hanging in the basement of the home on September 23rd on 9/23. Snyder, who has not been named a suspect, appeared 20 minutes later. She ignored questions from reporters and quickly drove off. In what the Berks County DA calls a horrible, horrible case, according to search warrants, state police are investigating the deaths as criminal homicides and criminal attempt homicides. According to the records, the young victims were hanging approximately 3 feet apart from a single wired cable with plastic coating. The deaths and criminal probe have stunned this rural Berks County community. Investigators report the mother was in the home at the time, and state police are focusing on an Xbox the 8-year-old used to view internet websites. Investigators have removed electronic equipment from the home and want to weigh a 50-pound husky pit bull mixed dog that's been given away. Okay. Anyway. Wow. Something about that one. Wow. I always try to put myself in a mindset of people that have done stuff like that. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm a writer, you know, it's what I went to school for, screenwriting. And I'm a storyteller, and I always have been, and I'm imaginative. You know, I'm very creative. But when I see these crime stories, I always just try to think, what does it take to make humans do these, like, to make that crossover? What does it take to make these people make these monstrous decisions that change their lives and other people's lives forever? And, you know, did it build up over time? Was there just like a triggering event? What's their history? The craziest ones to me are always the ones where they talk to the neighbors and everybody that knew the people involved in whatever the crime was say how normal they were, how good they were, how kind and how sweet they were. They're just regular folks. I see that all the time with these stories, you know? It just makes me wonder. CNN offers a place where millennials can complain how hard their lives are. How hard their lives are. On Monday, of course it's CNN. On Mondays, does anybody actually like CNN that's listening right now? I'd be curious. If you want to give it CNN a shout out for whatever reason, I'm curious if anybody listening right now watches CNN, not just to make fun of it, because I mean it's a comedy show. You can watch it just, you know, because it's a joke. But I wonder if any people actually take it seriously. Really, most mainstream news at this point. I just found a YouTube channel, a news site called OAN. I think it's One America News. I've been liking what I've been seeing over there. You know, I mean, of course, I'm more to the right of anything, but obviously I understand that false left-right paradigm. But if I'm going to get my news filtered and I have a choice, I might as well choose a filter coming through the right, you know, because I'm sick of this stuff that's coming through the left, and it's getting destructive. Like it's imploding, and it's eating itself. It's getting crazy, isn't it? Maybe that's why CNN's doing this. I don't know. On Monday, CNN advertised a news site that would be available for millennials to complain how their lives were harder than their parents. And again, this is more of that tribalism I hate, separating us. I try to look at us as all brothers and sisters in Christ, even people that don't believe in Christ or know him. That's how I try to see the world the best way I can. That's me. I'm sure it's a lot of you too. But this separating, this tribalism, they separate us into groups and they turn you against each other. CNN tweeted, quote, "Are you a millennial who feels like it's harder to get ahead than it was for your parents? The data shows you're not alone. Tell us your story at millennialstories@cnn.com," unquote. As journalist Jesse Singal has pointed out, there are two views of just which age group constitutes millennials. Singal noted, "I was born in 1983, which means I'm part of the generation, whether one uses the Census Bureau's definition or Pew's. CNN has been seemingly obsessed with courting millennials. They published a piece in October 2018, just before the congressional midterms, in which they breathlessly stated, millennials could be one of the biggest political forces in America today if they wanted. Defined by Pew as those born between 1981 to 1996, millennials make up about 22% of the U.S. population, and at some point between November's midterms and the 2020 election, they're expected to surpass baby boomers as America's largest living generation. They're a massive voting bloc capable of setting policy priorities and swinging elections. They're also grossly underrepresented in American politics. They always bypass Generation X, which is what I'm a part of. Imagine some of you are too. You notice that? But Generation X lived wild, though. That's the thing. I think a lot of Generation X is dying off early, really. I had a heart attack last year. I'm in my 40s, man. So, you know, they said that was genetic, but still, whatever, you know. And I'm not the only one. I've had friends and friends of friends around the same age, some younger, some a little older, heart attacks, diabetes, early death. A lot of it's been opioid abuse, I found. I lost a really good friend, actually, to that. One of my best friends from childhood. This is about 3 years ago. So, you know, and they're mixing it. They're crushing up opioids, snorting them, and they're drinking whiskey. It's not a good combination. So we move on. CNN offers place where millennials can complain how hard their lives are. Pope hosts tree planting ritual where indigenous bow to topless pregnant statue. What could go wrong? This is more of that Mother Goddess stuff. I watched some of this ritual, but it was like 2 hours long. Wasn't really much to report. I was thinking maybe I could make a cool compilation video or something showing something interesting, but not so much. There's a lot of talky talk, but still. In a move which will most likely heighten the concerns of critics of the upcoming Amazon Synod, Pope Francis today participated in a highly symbolic tree planting ceremony in the Vatican Gardens, where indigenous leaders offered prayers for the earth and people bowed before carved images of pregnant women. Participants planted the tree in dirt from the Amazon region, celebrating the wealth of the bioregion's cultures and traditions, Vatican News explained, and India. Also brought in was soil representing refugees and migrants forced to leave their homes because of war, poverty, ecological devastation, or political moves by the Illuminati, which is really what it is. And more, I added that part in. And more soil from the Amazon earth bathed in the blood of those who have died fighting against its destruction. Just more of this Mother Goddess garbage, guys. That's it. Mother Earth. Here's some of it. Let's see. Couple minutes of it. It's all this pagan stuff too, man. It's just it's so crazy. It's just so obvious, man. It's so in our face. And I just have had Catholic people that follow me and stuff get mad at me for talking about stuff like this sometimes and pointing stuff like this out. But guys, by now, man, y'all should know. It's just about your own relationship with God through Jesus Christ. I'm not a religious leader or anything like that, but that's always been my simple message. It's the way I see it. And we can always agree to disagree. But, I've done the research. I've been to many different types of churches. Some of you know when I was in Maui, I was in a cult. I told you guys that situation a few times throughout the years. No brainwashing, don't worry. I broke the brainwashing. I think they were trying to, but it's a whole other story. Some of y'all know that story, but I've been around, man, like I said, and I just think it all comes back to a very simple relationship with God. You can talk to him on your own anytime about anything. You should build a relationship with him through Christ. We should try to follow the ways of Christ. And by that, I mean, live that way. And it's hard, but it gives you something to do, doesn't it? It gives you something to strive for. It's the way I see it. Always be better like that. There's a statue of a pregnant woman she's carrying. Anyway, we get it. We get it. Pagan fertility ritual. There you go. Ecological ritual performed in Vatican Gardens for Pope's tree planting ceremony. It's just another story. Same thing. This is kind of disturbing. October 7th, yesterday. Lowe's goes woke. Resist white Christmas, black Santa next to gay Christmas tree. I personally don't have anything against a black Santa. I really don't care. Santa is Satan. It really is. I mean, no kidding. That's one that I figure most of you already know about. I rarely talk about it. I never feel the need every time Christmas rolls around doing a Santa is Satan video or something, but I've talked about it in other videos and shows in the past, and it's definitely an idol. It's an idol. And in its own right, it is Satan. It's all about consumerism, right? It's all about purchasing things. And what do we see on these Black Friday events, Christmas and for Christmas around Thanksgiving? It's violence, right? It's like violence, hatred, people ripping each other up over consumer goods. I find it interesting. They also made sure to have the, what's the one thing that doesn't fit in up here, right? for the most. Well, it's this it looks like Mickey Mouse is over there on the far right, but you got one of these little one-eyed, whatever they are. I don't know what that animation's called. Sorry, guys, I forgot what that animation is, but just to the other side of the gay Christmas tree, you've got the all-seeing eye symbol, and of course, it's one of these little characters from, gosh, what's that show called? Y'all, I'm imagining you guys are saying it in the chat right now. I don't read the chat when I'm doing these, but thank you either way. But I think you know what I'm talking about. So symbolically, it's interesting, right? Symbolically, spiritually, that's the way I see stuff like that line up. Again, I don't care so much about a black Santa. I don't think that's really the big message here so much. Woke is all the rage these days. Who would have known that in the day of intersectionality, critical race theory, and LGBTQ activism, that a black Santa would team up with a gay Christmas tree to oppose white Christmas? Disclaimer, this is mildly satirical, but the photo is real. All right. Anyway, there you go. In-N-Out Burger joins Chick-fil-A as a company that openly celebrates its Christian values. I say joins, but an In-N-Out Burger hasn't necessarily been secretive about the fact that it's a Christian establishment. It's printed John 3:16 on the bottom of its cups. However, like Chick-fil-A before it, the owner and heiress of the burger chain, Lindsay Snyder, is letting everyone know just how much Christ means to her publicly. Snyder gave an interview with the Christian Post and divulged that her life was on a downward spiral until she came to Christ, leaving behind drug and alcohol addiction, broken marriages, physical abuse, and more. The Burger Empire heiress said that she finally found that the deep need in my heart can only be filled by Jesus and my identity in him. Snyder stressed that even when you're overcome the pains of your past, you still need Christ for the hurdles that are to come, according to the Christian Post. She said, I have learned so much through my broken relationships, along with the ups and downs that come through marriage. I've been the one to hurt, and I've been hurt. I have gained insight and growth through both sides of the coin. Prior to the journey of marriage, it's so important to seek time and healing with Jesus, she stressed. Even if you are blessed to be healed of personal wounds and past relationship baggage, life will still bring hurdles and trials to overcome in your relationship. While John 3:16 has been printed on their cups for years, Snyder decided the company should have more Bible verses on its products in order to share more of the messages it has to impart. This now includes Proverbs 24:16 and Luke 6:35. It was my Uncle Rich who put the Bible verses on the cups and wrappers in the early 90s, just before he passed away, she told the Christian Post. He had just accepted the Lord and wanted to put that little touch of his faith on our brand. It's a family business and will always be, and that's a family touch. In later years, I added verses to the fry boat, coffee, and hot cocoa cups. It's not just the printing of verses on containers that Snyder is satisfied with. She told the Christian Post that she's also started an organization called Army of Love, which helps those who are in emotional need, just like she was when her third marriage was falling apart. I was calling out to God as my third marriage was failing. I was in a place where I felt I couldn't do ministry because my own heart and home were a mess. My husband and I were in constant turmoil. I became desperate for the hope that I could be used by God despite my circumstances. While driving through New Orleans one day, Snyder heard Isaiah 61 in her head. The passage reads in part, He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners. I knew that I would be a part of a ministry that would unify the body of Christ into soldiers who would reach out to one another and to the lost in the last days, Snyder said. Many people attend church, but the pool of discipleship is shallow. So I saw training modules online to disciple people and take them deeper than any may have gone attending church or Bible study. I envisioned this army uniting various ministries and supporting churches and organizations. Overall, Snyder said she lives her life by the power of Christ, and not just with Christ as a thing she turns to from time to time when needed. She gives a great example of her philosophy. Picture our lives being a power strip. We plug so many things into the power strip, work, family, hobbies, and God, she said. But that is all wrong. God must be the power strip, and everything in our life should be plugged into Him as our power source. He gives us life, and then we have His power in everything we do. He shouldn't be one of the plug-ins in our life, but rather we should live plugged into Him and the calling He has for us, she added. It's very brave, especially in this day and age, for any CEO to openly come out and proclaim their love of Christ. However, the backlash that typically follows from doing so is made moot in the face of the support from American Christians. Chick-fil-A has always had its share of backlash and continues to fight battles for its open adherence to Scripture, but its support is so wide and far that it's become the third most successful fast food joint in America. But the reward isn't the point. The point is that you feel a wholeness from your reliance and obedience to Christ. Perhaps being wealthy and successful is the plan, but maybe it's not. But even if it's not, you'll feel free of chains, as Snyder is trying to point out. Chinese citizens must pass a facial recognition test to use the internet as part of Beijing's social credit system. This is manifesting so fast. There's Chubbs. Hi, Chubbs. Hello. Can you guys hear him? Hi. Come here. What's up? Hi, man. I'm glad you came by to say hi. All right, continuing on. Sorry. Chubbs is my cat. He's just coming over here to visit for a second. It's crazy how fast this is manifesting, and they are trying to scoot this stuff over into America and other places around the globe. A lot of us see this as, China is basically the testing ground for this technology, have them perfected, and then they can take it from there and start applying it elsewhere, because Google's involved with this as well. So China has stepped up its internet censorship by demanding its citizens pass a facial recognition test to be able to use web services. People who want to have the internet installed at home or on their phones must have their faces scanned by the Chinese authority to prove their identities. That's so creepy. That's creepies. The rule, which will take effect on December 1st, is said to be part of the social credit system, which rates the Chinese citizens based on their daily behavior. Hi, Chubbs. I know, he hates this story. Chubbs is hardcore against any kind of censorship. That's just the way he is. It's the way he was raised. That picture, though, it's pretty wild, huh? At present, a Chinese citizen will need to show his or her ID card while applying for a landline or the internet. The facial recognition test is set to verify that the ID card belongs to the applicant. The directive was issued by the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. Another long title. You gotta love how they put ministry in there. It's like Anfarta, They act like they're against fart, but they're always farting. They're always the ones doing the farts. The directive was issued by the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology late last month. The ministry claimed the move would help improve the country's internet security and combat terrorism. It's always combating terrorism, too, isn't it? Guys, this is for your own good. This is going to help us fight terrorism, all right? So we're going to put fully grown men and women at the airports, and they're going to be able to put their hands all over you, all right? Yes, even touch your naughty bits. They're definitely going to be touching your naughty bits. Chinese citizens are also banned from reselling their SIM cards by the regulation to prevent unregistered users from making calls from mobile phones. China has been building the world's largest facial recognition surveillance system. The Big Brother-style scheme is powered by hundreds of millions of AI street cameras aiming to identify any of the country's citizens within 3 seconds. Man, that's crazy. The country's 1.4 billion population are set to be carefully watched by 626 million CCTV monitors. Golly, did you hear that? 626 million CCTV monitors, many having facial recognition functions. That's the beast. That's the technology beast right there. It'll be ready as early as next year. That'll be one camera for every 2 people. The most surveilled city in China, Chongqing, is equipped with more than 2.5 million street cameras, or 1 for every 6 people. Critics, however, have voiced concerns over the system, claiming it's a way for the government to invade citizens' privacy and restrict their freedom. Many have also compared it to a dystopian system, of course, run by a fictional state leader, Big Brother, in George Orwell's novel 1984. Paul Bischoff, a researcher on surveillance topics, previously told Mail Online China is rapidly adopting CCTV surveillance as a means to monitor the movements of its population at a huge scale. CCTV in China is not just about stopping crime, but also enforcing social norms and behaviors that the government approves of. China's surveillance network also supports the nation's social credit system, which rates its citizens based on their daily behavior. Once complete next year, the national system could determine how easy a citizen could rent a flat, buy travel tickets, or pay for a cup of tea. The system will help the country restore morality. The system will help the country restore morality, according to China's state-run newspaper, Global Times. Appropriately enough, it's Global Times. Latest statistics show the Chinese social credit system blocked what it called discredited entities from taking 2.56 million flights and 90,000 high-speed train journeys in July alone. Man, that is some scary stuff. If that's not beast system right there manifesting, I don't know what is. Wow. Wowzers. UK girls skip. This is wow. This is another one. This is just look at how far we've fallen. UK girls skipping school traumatized after being forced to share toilets with boys. Parents and teachers in the United Kingdom are warning school administrators that gender-neutral toilets in schools have left many girls feeling unsafe and are putting their health at risk. Girls who are menstruating are so anxious about sharing facilities with boys that some are staying at home for fear of being made to feel, quote, period shame by boys, according to the Daily Mail. A growing number of UK primary and secondary schools are in the process of installing unisex toilets. Oh, man. I'm going to save this one. Some girls are even risking infection by refusing to use the toilets at school. Other girls have even stopped drinking any liquids at school, afraid that they might have to use the unisex toilet. Oh, real quick, in case you wonder why I'll save some of these sometimes, because they connect to videos I'm working on about other subjects. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Like, these are all things I collect through the week, these stories, but sometimes I haven't saved them in certain folders, so I always try to, you know, sometimes these will wind up in my videos later, some of these stories. Parents and teachers told the Daily Mail that female students feel very uncomfortable and even unsafe when sharing toilets with male students. Duh. Duh. Hey, Chubbs, right? He's getting a little feisty now. The push for unisex toilets in the UK was designed to be more inclusive of children who identify as transgender and wish to use the same bathroom as the opposite sex. I mean, that was the excuse at least, right? And now we see where it's really going. These unisex bathrooms where boys and girls are going to the bathroom together. I remember us seeing some stories about this a few years ago on the What Happened shows before this became such a thing, and thinking, wow, you know, they're actually talking about doing stuff like this. And now, well, they're doing it. This is it. We've been conditioned through all kinds of science fiction movies and TV shows through the years about unisex futures. Alien, Starship Troopers, a bunch of others. What is it? Fifth Element, all kinds. But you'll always see people in these spaceships or in these futures, you know, in the same dressing rooms, men and women. It's like that. And what? I'm sorry, man. He gets real fussy when I'm not talking to him sometimes. So he's kind of having a bit of a fit. So I'll continue. The push for unisex toilets in the UK was designed, we already got that. On Sunday, both politicians and doctors called for schools to stop the practice of unisex toilets. Dr. Tessa Katz told the Mail that holding in urine for prolonged periods on a regular basis could increase the risk of girls suffering urinary and bladder infections. The psychological effects of girls not feeling safe enough to use mixed-sex toilets is also concerning. Meanwhile, the change to unisex bathrooms in schools has also sparked backlash from most parents who say they were not told about the change at their children's school. Many say they were not consulted before the school switched the bathrooms to gender neutral. And that goes out again to our friends in the UK that listen here. Have you experienced anything like this? Your children, are they being forced to use these unisex restrooms? I mean, please let us know. I know I've got an audience out there. I really appreciate all of y'all. That's great. I appreciate where all of you are from, the whole audience, but it's always nice to hear about people outside of America, you know, that are listening in, and it's just cool to know that we all connect like this, right? So anyway, let us know if you're dealing with that in the UK. It'd be interesting to hear your story and how you're dealing with this. So there you go. This right here is one of my favorite UFO videos I've seen in a while. I've already saved it. I'll probably put it in a future video. I've been thinking about doing, since this is the creepy month, last year I did a creepiest clips show where we showed all the craziest clips I'd found on the years. So maybe I'll do one this year, since this is the spooky month, and do a creepiest clips kind of live show here in the next few weeks and show my favorite paranormal and supernatural clips. But this one right here is a keeper. September 28th, 2019, from Angel Serin, Serin, 1 subscriber, little channel, little bitty baby channel, but really interesting footage. We'll watch it a couple times. This is what I would call really good footage of a flying humanoid. Yes, I know. You're probably wondering. Well, you're not. If you've been around for a while, you know my interest in these subjects. I've done some videos about the flying humanoids. Anyway, check this out. This is a good example, I think. I'm not sure what this could be, but...
Uy. Parece personal. Es una bruja. No. Más cerca. Más cerca. Mira eso.
Here, I'll slow it down. Again, I don't know what it is, okay? I don't know what it is, but this one's interesting to me. Let's slow it down a little bit and watch. Okay, there we go.
Uy.
Seriously, it almost looks like a witch riding a broom right there to me. Look at that. It's so crazy. But it could be, you know, again, a shapeshifter. It could be a shape-shifting demon, demonic entity. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's a drone. I don't know.
Es una bruja. No. Más cerca. Más cerca.
Anyway, that's a keeper, man. That's definitely one that's got me scratching my head. So I'm not really sure what to think about this one, but I think it's pretty interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts, man. What do you guys think that could be? What does that look like to you? If you want to look up Angel Serin YouTube channel, Serin. I bet they'd be thrilled to have I'm going to subscribe to him. There we go. Angel Serin. And that's probably the only video they have up. But anyway. See what else we got here. Excuse me real quick, guys. I'm going to take a drink real fast. Much better. Chubb's finally settled down. All right, we're doing good, man. We're looking good. Scarred for life. Post-op transgenders start movement to encourage people to detransition. A movement is building of hundreds of transgender individuals who desperately want to return to their birth sex after realizing they made a mistake a grave mistake with their transition, Sky News has reported. The movement is starting in Britain, where a charity called the Detransition Advocacy Network is being set up to help people return to their birth sex. They intend to provide support to detransitioners against pressure from the rabid LGBT community that is actively recruiting to their dangerous lifestyle. The creator of the group, 28-year-old Charlie Evans, has detransitioned publicly and notes that young and mentally ill people are being recruited by the LGBT agenda. These vulnerable groups are being coerced by LGBT activists into taking drugs, such as puberty blockers, and putting their genitals under the knife. I'm in communication with 19 and 20-year-olds who have had full gender reassignment surgery who wish they hadn't, and their dysphoria hasn't been relieved. They don't feel better for it, Evans told Sky News. They don't know what their options are now. I think some of the common characteristics are that they tend to be around their mid-20s. They're mostly female and mostly same-sex attracted, and often autistic as well, said Evans, who called herself a man for almost a decade before returning to her birth gender. After going public with her story, Evans has been deluged with hundreds of individuals who feel the same way she does. It has emboldened her to start the group and encourage others to fight through the hatred and harassment from the intolerant LGBT community. Another individual who has detransitioned, who was only given the name Ruby due to fear of reprisal from LGBT activists, told Sky News that she began identifying as a male at the age of 13 and began to take drugs to induce her gender transition shortly afterward. Ruby was planning to have her breasts removed this summer before she started having doubts about her transition. I didn't think any change was going to be enough in the end, and I thought it was better to work on changing how I felt about myself than changing my body, said Ruby, who is now 21 years old. Wise woman, wise words. I didn't think any change was going to be enough in the end, and I thought it was better to work on changing how I felt about myself than changing my body. I love it. I've seen similarities in the way I experience gender dysphoria and the way I experience other body image issues, she added. Ruby believes that the public health system in Britain has failed her and urged her to undergo a transition that may have drastically worsened her mental health problems. When I was at my gender clinic to get referred for hormones, we had a session where I went over my mental health issues, and I told them about my eating disorder, and they didn't suggest that that could maybe connect with my gender dysphoria, Ruby said. For everyone who has gender dysphoria, whether they are trans or not, I want there to be more options for us, because I think there's a system of saying, okay, here's your hormones, here's your surgery, off you go. I don't think that's helpful for anyone, she added. The Tavistock and Portman NHS Trust is seeing 3,200% more patients for gender issues than they had seen a decade ago, with children as young as 3 or 4 years old being referred in some cases. They stand by their policies of convincing children to change their birth gender with drugs and mutilation procedures. Decisions about physical interventions made in our care are arrived at after a thorough exploration process. While some of our patients may decide not to pursue physical treatment or drop out of treatment, the experience of regret described here is rarely seen, a spokesperson for the trust said. So I don't know if we can trust anything that spokesperson says, but there's your story. And that's good news. That's some good news coming out in the world here. Good news. Good for them. Oh, here's the one. Here's the follow-up. Atheist group files complaint about Texas judge's Bible gift hug to convicted murderer. You may have just jumped into the show late, but we showed a video earlier, which I thought was very touching. It's a very nice moment, where the brother of a man that was killed by this lady totally forgave her in court, said he loved her and asked for a hug. The judge allowed it. They had a nice hug. Then the judge came down, hugged the lady, and gave her a Bible and told her to check out some verses. It was a really nice moment all around, I thought. But no, hold on. That record scratch sound. Whatever it is. We can't have a nice moment like that. Wait, stop. Atheist group files complaint. A brother's forgiveness to his brother's killer was in the spotlight Wednesday as the pair embraced in front of a Dallas, Texas courtroom. Brant Jean, the brother of Botham Jean, asked during his witness impact statement if he could hug former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger. Judge granted his request, and the pair hugged each other in a moment of forgiveness seen around the world. State District Judge Tammy Kemp also gave Geiger a Bible and read the New Testament, John 3:16 to her. Judge also hugged her before Geiger was led out of the courtroom. On Thursday, the Freedom from Religion Foundation filed a complaint against Kemp with the Lone Star State government agency who looks into allegations of judicial misconduct. According to the New York Times, the atheist organization headquartered in Madison, Wisconsin, believes the judge crossed an ethical line after she sentenced Geiger to 10 years in prison. Geiger, who is white, was sentenced for shooting and killing Jean, a black man, in his apartment, while she claimed she mistook for her apartment. Some activists have also criticized Kemp, who is black, saying they wondered if a black defendant would have received the same treatment from the judge. Oy vey. See, this is what we deal with now. Kemp did not respond to any requests for comment. However, her former boss, ex-Dallas prosecutor Craig Watkins, told the newspaper Kemp is guided by faith and that he doesn't think her actions were out of bounds. All right, anyway. There you go. Okay. 5 butchered bulls spark fears of cult activity. And hi, Chad. Hi. What? Yeah? All right. He's just over there barking at me, man. Can you guys hear him? I don't know if you can hear him or not. 5 butchered bulls spark fears of cult activity in small U.S. town. The appearance of 1 dead bull, no blood, sex organs, and tongue removed, no gunshot wounds, mystified officials near a timbered ravine in eastern Oregon. This is one of them, their X-Files. This is a good one, I thought, so check this out. But when 4 more were discovered about 2.5 kilometers away in the same condition, the plot thickened. No tracks were found near the dead bodies, leading people to think they were placed there. Local ranch management and law enforcement suspect that someone must have killed the bulls. Ranch hands have been advised to travel in pairs and to go armed. It seems that concerned locals have been banding together to solve this mystery, which for some calls to mind past incidents of discovered murdered bulls. Ever since the animals were found back in July, Harney County Sheriff's Deputy Dan Jenkins has received many calls and emails with theories. Some think the bulls have been harmed to hurt ranchers financially, while others speculate scavengers such as carrion bugs have been eating the carcasses. One person even went so far as suggesting UFO involvement, telling Jenkins to look for craters underneath their carcasses. Back in the 1970s, thousands of livestock were found mutilated in similar ways across the U.S. West and Midwest. Cases have emerged on and off since then. In the 1980s, a few cows were found dead and mutilated in eastern Oregon. More recently, there have been cases on a ranch in Arizona. Dave Bonnert, director of Oregon State University's Eastern Oregon Agricultural Research Center in Burns, says there's no indication that these most recent findings were attacked by predators or had eaten anything poisonous. So to lose a completely healthy animal would be an oddity, said Colby Marshall, vice president of the Silvies Valley Ranch, which owned the bulls. To lose 5 young, very healthy, and great shape, perfect bulls that are all basically the same age, that is so outside the bounds of normal activity. He suspects the bulls were killed to get their organs, despite the fact that these particular parts would be available cheaply or free at a slaughterhouse. Some people he believes are going to a lot of trouble to get these parts on the range. Jenkins' theory isn't too far off. Personally, I would lean more towards the occult, where people, for whatever reason, whether it's a phase of the moon or whatever rituals they're going to do with their beliefs, are coming to different areas or doing that. Let's read that again. Jenkins' theory isn't too far off. personally, I would lean more toward the occult, where people, for whatever reason, whether it's a phase of the moon or whatever rituals they're going to do with their beliefs, are coming to different areas and doing that. Yes, so I think it could very well be another sign of the rise of the Antichrist spirit. It's another example of that, perhaps. Anyway, X-Files it is. Speaking of the X-Files, strange lights off the Outer Banks spark UFO debate. Was it aliens or the military? Now, this went really mainstream. All the big news, I believe, at least I know Fox covered it. I saw CBS. A lot of local news channels covered this story, but they really put this footage out there. And these are the same type of UFOs I've been talking about for years, about them actually being the entities. And it's interesting, we're starting to see these UFOs now. They're getting a lot of mainstream coverage as well. So when I see stuff like this, I always see it as just kind of a soft disclosure, a more soft disclosure. But let's see here. I guess there's no audio. But there we go, man. Check it. It's entities, shape-shifting light entities. I've shown you guys where they turn into diamonds, the diamonds in the sky. They can change colors. They can multiply. They can all form into one. I mean, it's incredible, but that's what it is. We've been conditioned for a long time for these things in so many different ways. But let's look at that in the middle of nowhere, middle of the water. Nothing else around. There they are. This is from BBC News. Man sues Apple claiming iPhone turned him gay. A Russian man has launched a lawsuit against Apple claiming an iPhone app turned him gay. He says this comes after an incident involving Geiger cryptocurrency. Saying he suffered moral harm, he's asking for 1 million rubles, according to a copy of the complaint seen by the news agency AFP. Homosexuality was decriminalized in Russia in 1993, but anti-gay prejudice is still widespread. In 2013, Russia passed legislation banning the spreading of what it described as gay propaganda. This officially bans the promotion of non-traditional lifestyles to minors, but in effect outlaws LGBT activism. A number of campaigners have been attacked and killed in the past year. So what's happened? In a suit filed on 20th September, it's claimed a cryptocurrency called Gaycoin was delivered via a smartphone app rather than the Bitcoin he had ordered. Cryptocurrency is basically virtual money, like an online version of cash, and Bitcoin and Gaycoin are some of those currencies. According to the complaint, the Gaycoin cryptocurrency arrived with a note saying, "Don't judge until you try." I thought, in truth, how can I judge something without trying? I decided to try same-sex relationships, the complainant wrote. Wow. Wow. I mean, how easily programmable. I mean, this is one of these guys. This is one of these stiffs. They become a stiff. They're so programmed, right? They're so programmed and easily programmable. I thought, this is on a Gaycoin thing, cryptocurrency arrives with a note saying, "Don't judge until you try." He says, I thought, in truth, how can I judge something without trying? I decided to try same-sex relationships. Okay. Now I have a boyfriend, and I do not know how to explain this to my parents. He adds that his life has been changed for the worse, and that he will never become normal again. Apple pushed him towards homosexuality through manipulation, he claims. The changes have caused me moral and mental harm. Sapizat Gazneva says the company has responsibility for their programs despite the alleged exchange taking place on a third-party app. The court will hear the complaint on the 17th of October. According to information on its website, Apple has not yet responded. Forced to use transgender pronouns, doctor speaks out after tribunal rules Bible incompatible with human dignity. A British doctor is warned that a dangerous precedent has been set after a tribunal ruled that he was rightfully terminated for refusing to use transgender pronouns and that his Christian values clash with those of UK society. Dr. David Makareth was fired from his job at the Department for Work and Pensions after telling his manager that in a hypothetical scenario, he would never, quote, call any 6-foot-tall bearded man, madam, unquote. The case was brought. This is a case. Isn't this sad? Now this is a case. This is like, who cares? The case was brought before a Birmingham employment tribunal, which said in its ruling that the government department had every right to sack Makareth and that the doctor's biblical beliefs have no place in British society. Belief in Genesis 1:27, lack of belief in transgender and conscientious objection to transgender, in our judgment, are incompatible with human dignity and conflict with the fundamental rights of others. And this, my friends, I've been talking about this for a while. Love is love, right? They call it love is love. This right here is how they're going to start putting Christians in cages. And this is how you're going to start lining up someday for the beheadings. How does a Christian become a criminal in this world? In the beast system, in what's coming? What makes us criminals? Well, at that point, they'll have gone after every other person, every other group. The 3 world wars from Albert Pike, right? They even use the nihilists, the anarchists, and the atheists to destroy the Christians, and then they destroy the atheists, the nihilists, and the right? Because they need someone who's going to have religious faith and belief in Lucifer. That's how they want everyone to be. Everyone's going to have to worship the devil, worship the Antichrist. Anyway. Saints linebacker fined for wearing, quote, man of God headband during game. A key defensive starter for the Saints said he was fined $7,000 for wearing a headband with the phrase man of God on it during the team's Week 3 matchup. According to this post on his Instagram page, linebacker Demario Davis was fined for wearing the personalized headband in New Orleans' big 33-27 win against the Seattle Seahawks last week. It's disgusting. Unbelievable. People care about this. $7,000 for wearing this. Everything to push God further and further out of everything. Minnesota Public Library hires adult entertainment worker to read to toddlers for story hour. Oof. This is the man. There's his picture. Oh, my goodness. This is the man the Minnesota Hennepin County Public Library thought would be a good choice to read to toddlers in the city of Richfield. His name is Russ King, who calls himself Miss Richfield 1981, and he tours the nation doing an adult entertainment show called Gender Fluids. Yes, Fluids, with an S. He has his own website featuring hundreds of photos where he is performing a variety of acts on various men in various stages of dress, which most would call soft prawn. Miss Richfield calls Obama his political advisor, and his goal is, in his words, to recruit homos and like-minded people. Miss Richfield loves to mock Christians on his website. He even has photos of himself, legs spread in front of a cross and eating baby Jesus cookies. The first book Russ read to the tots was called Neither, which explained how some people are neither a boy or a girl and are called this or that or they. The second book he read was called Rainbow, where he taught the kids the meaning behind every stripe in the LGB flag so they could pledge allegiance to the rainbow flag, not the American flag. Pure indoctrination. Russ was wearing a very short skirt and very high heels, and when he bent over, where his legs spread apart, he revealed his underwear to a dozen toddlers who sat before him. Children between 8 months and 13 years were there. Russ ended story hour with a vocal rendition of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which he belted out in his deep baritone voice. I don't want to read more of that. I think we get it, right? The Bronx Zoo says a woman who climbed inside its lion exhibit could have been taken out. You seen this footage? This is craze. Cray. Oh. This is nuts.
That's what my dad used to do. Like, he was straight, like a That's what my dad used to do.
Look at that look, man. Man, that lady got so lucky. Wow. Florida man. It's always a Florida man. Florida man accused of cutting brake lines on dozens of electric scooters. Oh. Turn the music down. Do you have those electric scooters where you are? They're everywhere where I live. I mean, I've got a car, but I've got a vehicle, but if it wasn't for that, sure, why not, man? I mean, you know, South Park did a pretty funny episode about these scooters showing up everywhere overnight, it seems. But now you got this creepy guy running around cutting the brakes on all these scooters. Not cool. Video. Anfarta terrorists turn climate change rally into violent hate fest against police. There's some video. I guess there's not. All right. I was kind of hoping there'd be some video on that. UK rugby referees quitting over transgender players breaking women's bones. Rugby referees in the UK would rather quit their jobs rather than watch male players who identify as females injure and maim actual female players. The Sunday Times reported that the fear of being sued as more men claim to be women join the women's leagues and end up hurting natural-born female contestants with their strength and speed has led to their decision to resign rather than take the liability. The refs also report that they have been warned not to question even bearded men for fear of being seen as non-inclusive. Women's rugby does have a testosterone limit, but instead of testing the participants, refs are told to take the transgender athletes at their word. This is the world we're in now. Referees would not speak on the record, but instead share their concerns with the Times anonymously. One said, being forced to prioritize hurt feelings over broken bones exposes me to personal litigation from female players who have been harmed by players who are biologically male. This is driving female players and referees out of the game. Another said he's tired of being called a bigot for doing his job and questioning the male athletes. 33. Kelly Morgan, 33, playing rugby for Porth Harlequins ladies, but is a male transitioning to female. That dude is going to break some bones, man. You know he's going to break some bones. He's going to break dim bones, man. Look at that dude. Look at that. Look at that dude. He's going to break some bones. Not his. He's going to break somebody else's bones.
Hugging at East Ridge Elementary, school officials say he... 5-year-old boy with autism is punished for hugging at East Ridge Elementary. School officials say he was stepping or overstepping boundaries. Good evening, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Trisha Paytas. His family says he didn't know any better. News Channel 9's Abby Kirk is live outside East Ridge with this developing story. Abby. Yeah, Latricia, Josh, the 5-year-old boy is a kindergartner here at East Ridge Elementary. The principal says that they've spoke several times with the boy. The guardian of the boy tells me that the school has now filed a report with the state.
I was sick to my stomach because, first of all, I didn't understand, he's a 5-year-old. He's a child.
Summery Putnam says she received a call from her son's teacher at East Ridge Elementary about 2 weeks ago.
The teacher called me, and she said, you need to have a talk with Nathan about boundaries.
Putnam's son, Nathan, is 5 years old. She says he has autism, making it difficult for him to understand social cues.
If you don't understand how autism works, you'll think he's acting out or being defiant, but that's not the situation.
Putnam says the teacher said Nathan was overstepping boundaries. She says the teacher accused her son of sexual activities after she was told he hugged a child and kissed another child on the cheek.
He shouldn't be treated like this.
Nathan's grandmother, Debbie Amick, took to Facebook asking, quote, what do you do when a 5-year child is being labeled a sex predator and accused of sexual harassment by the school system?
The kid don't even understand what sex is.
Spokesperson Tim Hensley says, according to school policy, school personnel are required to report concerns regarding children to DCS. It's up to DCS to determine if those reports are acted on by DCS and what form those actions may take.
I talked to him, said, you can't hug children. He said, why? I said, because, Nathan, it's not allowed.
The family thinks the school is in the wrong.
To bring something like this against a child, a special needs child that really doesn't understand what he's done wrong.
It's crazy, right? The times we're in. Family of 5-year-old with autism punished for hugging at a Tennessee school. There you go. Sweden could drop ancient history from school curriculum in favor of gender roles and postmodernism. Sweden. I need to save this. There's always something crazy happening in Sweden. Is there anybody from Sweden listening? Any of you out there listening now or watching that are from Sweden? Man, I'd really like to talk to somebody from there and ask you, what is going on? Every week, there's always some crazy story out of Sweden. Sweden must be kind of the Florida of Europe, I guess, in comparison to America. Because we always have Florida man stories. There's always some crazy-ass stuff taking place in Florida. It's one of the weirdest places ever. It's one thing I noticed doing these kind of stories and collecting news. Some of the weirdest stuff. There's stuff I won't even show you on these shows that happens in Florida. But I have it all compiled in little folders. So I should just do a straight up just Florida man compilation sometime and show you some of the madness happening in Florida. But anyway, Sweden, always some madness happening in Sweden, I feel, as well. Now they're talking about dropping ancient history. Swedish state schools may drop ancient and medieval history from the curriculum to make room for postmodernism and, quote, democratic values. This is preparing for a one world order as well. That's the way I see it. According to a controversial new proposal that has enraged many Swedes, the history of ancient civilizations from prehistoric times to around 1700 is absent in proposed new curriculum for Swedish state primary schools in favor of focus on modern history and social sciences. This is what other dystopian societies have done. This is what dictators have done. Erasing the history, right? Because we're going to create something new, right, guys? We're creating our own thing now. We don't need to sit around talking about all these old farts and all the stuff they did. Who cares? We got something better. Wow. Anyway. History has already been deprioritized through extensive deletions, according to SVD. Informative eras like the Roman Empire and the Viking Age will now be removed altogether in favor of subjects like immigration, the environment, climate change, norm challenging, critical theory, democratic values, and gender roles. The emphasis will be on a postmodernist view of society rather than the classical philosophical tradition. You see where we're heading here, right? Right? Yeah. The heck's going on? What's in the water in Sweden? It can't be just legalized weed. Weed don't make you do stuff like this. Something, man. What's going on out there? Blue meth? You have like blue crystal meth? Scientists create a device that can mass produce human embryoids. Scientists have invented a device that can quickly produce large numbers of living entities that resemble very primitive human embryos. Researchers welcome the development described Wednesday in the journal Nature as an important advance for studying the earliest days of human embryonic development, but it also raises questions about where to draw the line in manufacturing synthetic human life. Other scientists have previously created synthetic embryos, which are also known as embryoids. These entities are made by coaxing human stem cells to form structures found in very early human embryos. The research has raised questions about how similar to complete embryos they could and should be allowed to become. The new work takes such research further by creating a method that can rapidly generate relatively large numbers of embryoids. This new system allows us to achieve a superior efficiency to generate these human embryo-like structures. What could go wrong? It's always scientists playing God, isn't it? These stories. This is really cool. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if there's still a world left. But first hotel in space set to open in 2025 with cruise ship amenities and out-of-this-world views. We'll just watch this. Much like taking the family on a cruise or trip to Disney World, going to space could eventually become just another vacation option. Designs for the first ever hotel in space called Von Braun Station have already been worked on. Station designed to give tourists a feel of home. Restaurants, bars, floating in space. Can you imagine? Look, that's like the model of it. Plan for activities at luxury hotel in space, low gravity basketball, trampolining, and rock climbing. Companies comparing space hotel to a cruise ship, complete with restaurants, bars, musical concerts, and movies. Stations plan to have a total population of 350 to 450 people, including more than 100 crew. The company said food will be served in one of the two restaurants on the station with all of the dishes you would expect on a luxury cruise ship or in a major hotel. Interiors of the space station hotel will be warmer with fabrics, blah, blah, blah. That's crazy, man. Can you believe Hotel in Space is set to open in 2025 and be fully complete by 2027? What do you think about that, man? I mean, some of us are going to live to see this, maybe. I mean, hey, again, we're still around. Antichrist hasn't taken over. World isn't launched into World War III. Considering all these things, 2025 comes around. Some of us are going to live to see this. Some of us, if all this is really going to happen, really by 2025, 2027, I mean, some of us are going to be taking vacations in space in less than 10 years. That's something to think about. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the flat earth stuff as well, isn't it? College student pleads guilty to killing besties, says she was, quote, doing cocaine with the devil. A Virginia college student told police she was doing cocaine with the devil when she flew into a psychotic rage and fatally knifed her best friend and roommate more than 30 times, a report said. Luisa Inez Tudela Harris Cutting, 21. Wow, that's the name? Luisa Inez Tudela Harris Cutting. Golly, some of these people, though, for real. What's your name? Luisa Inez Tudela Harris Cutting. What's your name? KJ. 21. She pleaded guilty on Monday to the January 24th slaying of Alexa Cannon and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Cutting admitted to stabbing Cannon to death in the off-campus apartment the two students shared near Radford University. Cutting had been binging on a cocktail of drugs, including cocaine, mushrooms, Adderall, Xanax, and marijuana. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is quite the cocktail. Cocaine, mushrooms, Adderall, Xanax, and marijuana. Out of all those, marijuana is your least issue, although I'm sure it didn't help at all. But jeepers. That's a party. During her confession to police, Cutting allegedly made rambling statements about the apocalypse. So she might have been taken over at this point, right? And recited the Hail Mary prayer a number of times in Spanish. She also repeatedly tried to shove her entire hand in her mouth. During her sentencing Monday, Cutting offered a brief statement asking for forgiveness and expressing regret for the killing. There are no words for this tragedy, and my heart is filled with sorrow and grief, she said. Prior to the killing, Cannon shared glowing social media posts about Cutting, saying she was her best friend. A post on Cannon's Facebook page from July 2018 read, "So incredibly proud of my best friend Louisa Cutting for becoming Latino's Student Alliance's president. I know you're going to be amazing with everything you do. Love you more." What's so crazy, that's like, to me, it's like a horror movie I've seen. Best friends hanging out. One of them goes out, gets totally trashed. This is a movie, let's say. Gets taken over by a demon, right? Kills her friend or does some kind of crime, then gets taken into jail, and the demon's gone, right? Maybe it's taken off to somebody else by then, who knows? But she was on her way up, president, class president or whatever, president of the Latino group in college, and beautiful, beautiful girls. And right there at the prime of their life, just, taken down. And then the girl spends, so much time in prison, and no one will ever believe her. Something took me over that night. It was a demon. Shut up. You did it. I imagine that's what being in jail is like. I don't know, prison. The real-life secret projects that inspired Stranger Things, including LSD, mind control experiments, and bizarre claims that governments tested teleportation on foster kids. So I've covered some of this in some videos. Others have covered this as well. Stranger Things. There's a lot of truth in Stranger Things. And a lot of times this is how stuff comes out. It's also a way they cover stuff up in plain sight. Because if you try to talk to somebody in depth about some of this, like secret LSD mind control, they'll immediately think back to Stranger Things. Yeah, I saw Stranger Things. No, man, this really happened. It was a thing. This actually happened. Yeah, I saw Stranger Things. And that's kind of how that works, I think, a lot of times. Pennsylvania homeowner finds naked milk drinker singing in his kitchen, authorities say. Police say a Pennsylvania homeowner went to investigate the sound of singing coming from the first floor of his home early Monday morning, only to find a naked man drinking milk in his kitchen. Erie police said the homeowner heard the singing at around 3 a.m. So there's the witching hour. What is it, midnight to 3 or 1 to 3? He grabbed his pistol and headed down the stairs to find the man sitting on his kitchen floor. The homeowner called the police and the man was taken into custody. Erie police could not immediately be reached for comment. The intruder was arrested and charged with criminal trespass and disorderly conduct. No injuries. North Dakota man 21 pleads guilty to trying to kill a woman he thought was a witch. A North Dakota man pleaded guilty Monday to trying to kill a woman because he believed she was a witch. Akmel Rashidovich Azizov. Wow, that's a name, isn't it? Akmel Rashidovich Azizov, 21, stalked a female University of North Dakota student in September 2018 with the apparent plan to attack and kill her. He confessed to authorities he had been stalking the woman for weeks after he became convinced she was wicked, according to published reports. Azizov told investigators he needed to slay her, according to the Grand Forks Herald. He bought an antique silver pocket knife online, as he apparently thought silver was the only way to kill her, and followed her to her apartment. Man, there's the kid right there. I mean, it's never good to judge someone by their looks, but wow. Another one of these incels, I'm guessing, perhaps. I don't know. But you know, this too would play out like a Hollywood horror film. What if in real life the kid was right? You'd see this in a horror movie. Like there's this geeky kid in college that nobody knows and no one talks to. He sees some girl in school that's real pretty or popular or whatever. Maybe he follows her around one night. He is a bit of a creep, just kind of following her around, and catches her doing some witchcraft and actually performing something crazy. And now you got this kid's the only one around that knows what this witch really is doing, and no one's going to believe him. That's crazy, man. Maybe he sees her sacrificing children or something one night, so he does research and gets this antique silver pocket knife because he believes that silver is the only way to kill her. I don't know, man. It's crazy. The world's nuts, isn't it? 21-year-old who was his high school's valedictorian said he lost his nerve and didn't attack the woman then, but he went back later and he attacked her. Authorities said he slashed at the woman's throat several times after attacking her from behind. The woman, who suffered several injuries, escaped to a neighbor's apartment. On Monday, Azizov pleaded guilty to attempted murder, stalking, and criminal mischief, according to the Herald. He was initially charged with terrorizing, but that charge was dropped as part of a plea deal. Azizov, whose lawyer now says, I'll put in now says he's schizophrenic, is not an American citizen, the Herald reported, though it did not elaborate on his immigration status. He faces the possibility of being deported to Uzbekistan once his sentence is complete. Arizona man allegedly kills son 6 after holding him under hot water to exorcise demon. A 6-year-old boy is dead in Arizona after his father allegedly poured hot water down his throat in an effort to exorcise his child, who he reportedly thought was possessed by a demon. The father, 31-year-old Pablo Martinez, was arrested after he told investigators what he did at his home on the Pascua Yaqui tribe reservation on Thursday. Martinez told authorities he noticed his son had a demon inside of him. I'm going to save this one too. Martinez told authorities he noticed his son had a demon inside of him during the past week, and when he was giving him a bath, he saw something evil inside his child. Thinking he had to cast this demon out, Martinez allegedly held the boy under running hot water for 5 to 10 minutes. Romelia Martinez, the man's wife and the boy's adopted mother, said she heard a gurgling coming from the bathroom where she found the boy being held under the faucet and screamed at Martinez to stop. She dialed 911 before Martinez poured cold water over the boy and reportedly attempted CPR on him. When investigators arrived on scene, Martinez allegedly told them that they were not in the right mindset or belief to understand why he allegedly did what he did, and eventually told police something to the effect of, "I did it," the news outlet reported, citing a criminal complaint. The boy was transported to a hospital where he was pronounced dead with burns covering 15% of his body. Martinez was charged with first-degree murder. The father is not a member of the Pascua Yaqui tribe. And that's the story. A lot of this demonic activity, a lot of people doing stuff like this, thinking that people are demon-possessed. I think I have a video to do here. There's a lot more of these stories coming out lately. We'll come back to that. Transgender children should undergo irreversible surgery without their parents' permission or counseling, psychologists say. Australian Psychological Society, which represents 24,000 professionals, says the disapproval of both parents should not inhibit a child under 16 from consenting to procedures. I think we already covered this earlier, didn't we? I'm pretty sure this is the same story from earlier, just a different site. So, okay, I'll move on. This is pretty crazy. You've heard about this? Here's a list of Bay Area cities that may be impacted by PG&E power shutoffs. Here, we'll play this. This is going to be a really big deal. Let us know if you're living in these areas and if you've heard anything about this. This is going to be a big deal. This could be, a lot of people are saying this could be like a a purge situation with all the power going off for several days here.
Days, thousands more customers in the state are facing the same. He plans to cut power early Wednesday, and the shutoff could last for days. Thousands more customers in the state are facing the same potential for power shutoffs. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ken Wayne.
And I'm Pam Moore. Pacific Gas and Electric says windy weather coupled with hot, dry conditions means a power shutoff could happen. And not just in the familiar spots, but across the state in 30 of California's 58 counties. Ground Force Dan Kerman live in the Oakland Hills tonight, which potentially could be among the locations affected. Dan.
That's right. Alameda County is on the list of potential areas that could see power shutoffs. Right now, all of those 30 counties are potential except for Napa County. Napa County Office of Emergency Services has just put out an alert within the last hour indicating that Napa County will definitely see a power shutoff, and they say that power shutoff there could last for up to 5 days. Power lines in Alameda County may be among those Pacific Gas and Electric shuts off to reduce the risk of fire. Alameda County joins 30 other counties in the state, including Contra Costa, Lake, Napa, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Solano, and Sonoma County that may see the lights go out.
This is a very widespread weather event with strong, dry winds. Covers, large swath of our service area throughout Northern California.
If a shutoff happens, it would be prior to the windy weather, which is due in early Wednesday morning through Thursday. If that happens, this would be the first time for a power shutoff in Oakland Hills.
I was here in the Oakland area, grew up in Oakland for the 91 wildfire.
The 1991 Oakland firestorm remains fresh in the minds of those who live here, and that's why many support a power shutoff if it will reduce the risk of fire.
I think it's a good thing to stop the spread of wildfires that are so rampant that we've had in this area.
It's not a bad idea. I think it's needed. I think that's better than having increased risks of fire.
Still, some of those who live here are concerned about the potential impacts.
I think personally I would be okay, but my parents would not be. So my mother depends on air conditioning for her life.
PG&E has already started calling customers warning of a potential shutoff and also warning people that once the power is to be turned back on, it could take some time because each line must be inspected first.
We ask for people to be prepared for 48 to 72 hours.
All right, so they just said be prepared 48 to 72 hours. Is there anybody listening right now that's in that area and that's going to be impacted? I'd be curious what you're thinking and what people in your area are talking about. That could be really dangerous. I mean, power being off for a few days, it's going to affect your food, your refrigerators, things like this, your comfort level. I don't know how hot it is out there right now. I guess here it says it's 78, so it's hot enough to be uncomfortable inside the house. So I don't know, but also I always think, there's the criminal aspect of this. Like you said, when I first saw this story earlier today, in the comments, people were talking about a purge. Like, oh, this could be a purge situation. You never know, but hopefully not. U.S. Navy pilot says mystery dark mass emerged from ocean and swallowed a torpedo. High-ranking U.S. Navy pilot has claimed a chilling dark mass was seen coming up from the depths of the ocean moments before a torpedo disappeared 10 years before a world-famous incident. Retired U.S. Navy pilot Commander David Fravor first shot to public attention in 2017 after describing how a squadron had witnessed a 737-sized object just under the surface of the water during training exercises in the Pacific Ocean. The incident, which happened in 2004, became known as the USS Nimitz encounter, after pilots then saw a Tic Tac UFO in the skies near the mast. In an explosive new account, the pilot has shared another UFO mystery that has come out of the woodwork since the story first emerged. Talking to Joe Rogan, Commander Fravor said another pilot once had a similar encounter in the late 1990s off the coast of Puerto Rico. He explained the pilot was flying a CH-53 and was going to pick up a BQM. A diver was dropped into the water to hook it up and then to fly back when something truly bizarre happened. They're 50 feet above the water. He sees this kind of dark mass come up from the depths. As they hoist the BQM up, he's looking at this thing going, what the hell is that? And then it just goes back down underwater. Once they pulled the kid and the BQM out of the water, the object descends back in the depths. The pilot thought the incident was pretty weird, but incredibly, the same thing happened a few months later. Fravor said he's out picking up a torpedo. They hook the diver up on the winch, and as they're lowering him down, he sees this big mass. He goes, it's not a submarine. He's seen submarines before. Once you've seen a submarine, you can't confuse it with something else. The big object, kind of circular, is coming up from the depths, and he starts screaming through the intercom system to tell them to pull the diver up. Man, that'd be freaky. Can you imagine being that diver being lowered down into this random black mass coming up out of the middle of the ocean? And the diver was only a few feet away from the water at this point. He continued, they reversed the winch, and the diver's thinking, what the hell's going on? And all of a sudden, he said the torpedo just got sucked down underwater, and the object just descended back into the depths. They never recovered it. Commander Fravor said the helicopter pilot was adamant that the torpedo didn't sink, as it literally looked like it got sucked down. Dick's Sporting Goods destroyed $5 million worth of assault rifles to keep them off the streets. Dick's announced a halt to assault-style rifles 2 weeks after the February 14th, 2018 high school event in Parkland. On April 17th, 2018, Breitbart News reported that Dick's was destroying its assault-style rifle inventory rather than returning the firearms to their manufacturers. CBS News, during, let's see, April 17th, 2018, they're talking about, during his October 6th CBS News appearance, CEO Ed Stack said the company ended up destroying $5 million worth of assault-style rifles. Stack also admitted that Dick's gun control stance has resulted in $250 million in losses. But Stack does not regret the gun control stance. Rather, he is considering taking the company even further down the gun control path. Wow. Disturbing video shows violent vagrant beat homeless man on Chinatown rampage. I just thought this is interesting because I just did a video on Joker, the movie, and the rise of the nihilist. And then I saw Joker, so I may do a live show about my experience at the Joker and then what I thought about it. There's a lot of symbolism in the movie, too. It's interesting. But that's why this story stood out to me a bit. I don't really want to play the video, but videos obtained by the Post capture a homicidal maniac bashing in the skull of a homeless sleeping on a Chinatown man, or a homeless man sleeping on a Chinatown sidewalk. First responders later rushing to the scene of the grisly attack and covering the victim in a white sheet. One disturbing 6-second clip posted to YouTube by the World Journal, the largest Chinese language newspaper in the U.S., apparently shows 24-year-old vagrant Rodriguez Randy Santos bludgeon one of his victims early Saturday morning, striking the man 4 times with a 3-foot metal pipe. Detectives were reviewing the video in connection to the attacks on 5 men, but it was still unclear which of the violent encounters was captured on the shocking surveillance footage posted Sunday. Police vehicles were later seen arriving to the scene on the early morning rampage and covering the corpse of at least one victim. First responders appeared to also check on other homeless people sleeping in the area. At least one black body bag could be seen being loaded into a truck by staffers with the city's office of the chief medical examiner. Santos has been charged in the grisly murders and was expected to appear in court Sunday. He'll face murder and assault charges after cops say he pummeled 5 homeless men while they slept on Chinatown streets. LGBT activists teaching judges to yank kids from parents who won't transgender them. On Thursday, the Health and Human Services Committee of the South Dakota House killed a bill that would have protected the right of parents to refuse to consent to medical or psychological treatment for a child suffering from gender dysphoria if the treatment, quote, would induce, confirm, or promote the child's belief that the child's sex or gender identity is different from the child's sex presented at birth, unquote. Proposed House Bill 1205 also provided that, excuse me, that no public authority or official of this state may take any adverse action against a parent for exercising this right. Wow. So documents obtained from Rhode Island Family Court must concern any person who questions whether it's a good idea to chemically and surgically mutilate their kids. I don't want to get too much into this one either. This stuff bums me out, some of these. I mean, they're important to show and talk about for a bit, to know what's going on out there in the world, but hey, you know, I don't like to deep dive in every one of these stories. Meet the company buying Planned Parenthood's baby specimens. Earlier this week, Americans across the country were outraged and disgusted to discover that a abortion conglomerate, PP, has been illegally selling the organs of babies obtained during partial birth abortions. In an undercover investigative video released by Live Action in association with the Center for Medical Progress, PP Senior Director of Medical Services, Deborah Nucatola, was shown discussing in her own unedited words Planned Parenthood's operation of selling infant livers, hearts, lungs, and lower extremities at $30 to $100 per specimen. While sipping a glass of wine and eating a fresh salad, Dr. Nucatolo casually spoke on how little babies are carefully removed from their mother's wombs using forceps and ultrasound so the organs extracted could be sold for profit, describing how she will, quote, go above and below the thorax so that she will be, quote, very good at getting heart, lung, and liver. I'm not going to crush that part. I'm going to basically crush below. I'm going to crush above, and I'm going to see if I can get it all intact, she says while sipping wine and eating salad. All right, there we have it. I just realized that's an older story. I'm sorry. That's from July 17th, 2015. Well, this was along some other stories. I was looking into this similar subject, so that must be why. Still good to know, though. This is from October 2nd, 2019. Teacher fired for refusing to use transgender pronouns, sue school for $1 million. I think we covered that earlier, too. Bit of a doom break. Adorable dog looks so human, people are convinced his face has been edited. I had to share this. Look at that. I mean, I'm more of a cat person, but this little guy's adorable. There you go. Pretty pooch. Dog's not bad either. Cutie, huh? All right. Short doom break. Have you heard of Adam Schiff? He's the guy he's a senator, and he's really pushing for this impeachment thing with Trump. But anyway, he's one of the founders of this group right here called Little Kids, LIDDLEKIDZ, KIDZ. And it's a premier organization for infant and pediatric massage professionals worldwide. I just thought this was kind of weird. He's a founder of this group that basically sends adults out. And here's a picture down here that sends adults out so that they can, rub their hands all over children. I mean, that's the way I'm seeing this. I don't know. I don't know, right? Am I wrong? I know touch is healing and all this, and I understand, but shouldn't your parents be doing that? I don't know. Anyway, little kids with the rainbow, with the baby right here. I mean, I know it's a baby, but still, baby's not wearing anything. This little girl has a pentagram, a green pentagram on her side of her head. There's other pentagrams down here. There's butterflies as well. Here's the butterflies. There's another butterfly, the pink. Where's the other pentagram I was looking at earlier? Oh, it's the flower and the rainbow's upside down star too. Anyway, little kids, I don't know. Something about it's weird. I wonder if this is connected to some of those creepy lefty pedo types. I don't know. Some of you that are into investigating things, maybe that's something you might want to look into. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. And that actually completes the end of my stories, man. So I'll jump back over here in the chat for a little bit and just say, guys, thanks again, once again, man, for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Sure was a lot of fun to do. Like I said, look, even though a lot of people were really discouraging about the show, some are just being mean, to be honest with you. I've just got to do what I love, and I love doing this, and I love hanging out with you guys. I love having a way for us all to connect like this. It's nice. I also like doing this because I can cover all these stories I think are interesting and not have to try to make a video on every single one. I spend my time putting everything I can into the best I can on my videos, and then I can cover all these other stories in one night, and it feels good. So for those of you sticking with me, thanks, man. For those who support me on Patreon and PayPal, thank you so much. Yes, I've got sponsorships, but it's not millions of dollars or anything. Okay. It just helps out. So thank you for supporting the sponsors. Future videos, for a while, there's going to be an ad, but I'm trying to do it to where there's an ad at the very beginning of every video. Then there's a space. Then you get my intro, and then you get the full video with no ads or anything. So that way you can just fast forward if you want to. Past the ads, that'd be fine. And, that's it, man. Otherwise, I always like to close these up with a quick prayer. So real quick, I'll just say, Heavenly Father, Lord, it's been tough. It's been tough. I've been talking to you a lot about this, Lord, and just thank you for guiding me. Thanks for, squaring me away and keeping me on my path. And just thanks for being there for me, because, I want to give up sometimes. And if I did, I don't know what else I would do. So thank you for giving me this. Thank you. Thanks for the wonderful people out there. Thanks for the wonderful audience. Thanks for the site. Thanks that I still have a YouTube channel, and thanks for protecting it this long. Otherwise, Lord, just please be with all of us. Provide us all with that peace we need. If there's people out there on the edge and they don't know what to think about Jesus or anything like that, Father, I hope you'll speak to them in a way they'll understand and guide them and lead them to you. Otherwise, Lord, I love you very much, and I thank you for everything. And in Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, guys, man, that's it. Hey, thanks again once again for being here, man. I appreciate y'all. You're amazing. And, check it out. I got some more videos coming up this week, and I got some live shows I'm wanting to do as well. So as always, thanks for your continued support. Thanks for being there, sharing the videos and the prayers and everything. I'll talk to you later.